Coming in hot. Coming in hot. Shoot that. Hey, why not? Yeah, coming in hot. Coming in hot. Just like the fajita. I write what I live. My life in the speaker. I'm nice with the flow. Just like the demeanor. I'm feeding my fam. I'm feeding the meter. They got the iron while I got the steamer.
What's going on, guys? We're back. We got another episode of Catching Up with Winks. Let's go. How you feeling? How's the week?
Good.
Tired?
A little tired,
Yeah.
but I think we're always tired.
Yeah, that is such is life right now. You know, there's always so many different things going on. But it was a good week.
Yeah,
it was a really good week. It's our girls' last week before they're officially kindergartners. How you feeling about that?
It comes and it goes. I get sad and then I get excited for them, and
Yeah.
and it's all the emotions kind of going back.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it's definitely hitting me harder than I thought it would. I thought I would just be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be totally fine. But it's definitely coming on a little harder than I thought.
When you were in the garage the other day when we were working out, you were like, I just got hit with the reality of this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So
it's all right. I think every season has to come to an end. And I think, I'm excited for the opportunities that I know, God's going to provide for us in the next season. And I think it's good for them and it's good for us too. There's definitely going to be some upsides in our schedule that we get from it as well. So looking forward to that. I think it's going to be good, but we've been kind of trying to intentionally spoil them these past couple weeks. If you haven't noticed, this week, actually Tori's sick, which is kind of weird to be sick in the summer, but she's got some throat soreness, cough, nasal thing
all
going
the
on.
cold stuff going on.
Yeah, really weird when it's August and it's still super humid, So we did as much as we could on Thursday. Thursday was our last official daddy-daughter day, which is, a little sad, but I still took them out for ice cream. And we still made it to the pool for about an hour and a half, and then her medicine started to wear off, so she started to feel bad. But and then it's just been busy with getting prepped for that and trying to get prepped for vacation. Next week we're going to Colorado for the Do Hard Things conference. Let's go.
Let's go.
Super excited for that. Betty's going to do a 20-minute ice bath. She's going to ice bath longer than any human being has ever ice bathed. So get ready. We're going to be back. We don't have an episode next week, but the week after that, we're going to be talking about Betty's ice bath marathon. That's going to be the title of episode 6 is Betty's ice bath marathon.
It's going to be an ice dip.
Tune in for that. But again, on a more serious note, we won't have an episode next week. So we'll be back the following week. But yeah, this series was kind of a really cool little 2-episode thing that we wanted to do for you guys. Last week was all about talking about what we put in our bodies and how that affects us and how to build kind of your own kind of diet plan throughout that. This week is going to talk more about what we can do in the calories out standpoint. I want to break down energy expenditure for you guys and really kind of talk about how to know where to start. And then, I'll go over kind of all the sciencey things behind energy expenditure, and then we'll kind of put the pieces together for y'all at the end. And hopefully you get a better understanding, after watching this video of, where to start and, ways and certain habits that you can employ in your life that will help you kind of succeed towards whatever your goals are in life. Hopefully they're trying to, lose fat and build muscle, and we'll talk about that too. But I want to go back to the stat. Do you remember the stat that I had from last week?
What was it? 71% of Americans.
Yeah, it's almost 72% of Americans over age 20 are either overweight or obese, and 40% of those, of the 71%. 40% of that, so over half of them are obese. It's a staggering stat, and I just wanted to touch on that again. I know I talked about it last week, but I wanted to bring it back up again and just reinforce the importance of this, guys. This is the real issue in life. And, you know, last episode, we talked about, you know, how do we get here? You know, we talked about hyperpalatable foods and things like that. Another reason that comes to the calorie out standpoint that kind of stands out to me is, I think, excuses. You know, I think in life it's always why, instead of why do it, it's why don't do it. You know, why not? And I think it's really important to just learn that we have to drop the excuses. You know, so what are some common excuses that you think people have when it comes to
Ooh.
things
Well,
like that?
especially like when I take myself back and put myself back prior to when we started on our fitness journey, or when I did. My main one would be I was too tired to do this, or I don't have the time, but I never made the time.
Right.
Stuff like that. That was probably one of my two top favorite things to use as excuses, as I was too tired. Another thing, I think a lot of people, even on stream, sometimes say, like, well, I could never afford to do that. I can't afford to go get a gym membership, or I can't afford the equipment that you guys have.
That's a good point.
Something along those lines.
Well, let's address that. You know, like too tired. One thing that I'll say too from working out is, and getting my diets in line, is that I have more energy. My work capacity is way more now than it ever was before. So I would argue that the more physical activity you put into your life, the more energy you're going to get back in return, you know, from being just an overall more active person. And back to what we were talking about last week, from having a foundation of nutrition in your life, you're going to get more energy. And, you know, on the too expensive realm, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I would say that if you don't have, let's say, $50 a month for a gym membership, let's say it's $70 a month for a gym membership, is being healthy really a priority in your life?
Well, I mean, think of it this way: are you spending $70 on fast food, when,
Or
you know,
Netflix memberships,
just
or,
all the
you know,
smoking,
Hulu,
or
or your cable, or whatever it is, you know, I mean,
alcohol, like your booze and like your things like
your bad
that,
habits, right?
bad habits?
I'm sure there's plenty of, you know, things in life that people could tighten up to find, you know, I mean, let's just say $50 a month for easy math, $12.50 a week. I mean,
Why does fitness always come last to, like, many people? I wouldn't say all or most, but
anything that we don't prioritize in life, we always put last, you know? So I think that's what it boils down to. You know, you never, I mean, always prioritize most people at least would prioritize, you know, getting to work on time, maintaining a job, you know, paying their bills, you know, all that type of life stuff. It's like you don't miss that, but you can't find time for this. What else?
I
Any
think
other ones?
maybe people just don't know where to start, and
Well, that's a good one.
maybe the whole thing. I think you just did something on this, like, oh, I'll start tomorrow. Procrastinating, using, I think, probably your age. I'm too old to do this, or I'm too far gone to do this, to get in any,
That's a good one.
type of
I
shape.
actually just did a podcast for our church on analysis paralysis. It's called Purposefully You, if you want to look it up. It's a really good podcast. So it was the most recent episode 55, if you're watching this later. But the procrastination thing, I mean, that's a real thing. But again, what is that really? It's just dishonesty with ourselves. You know, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start Monday, you know, we're really just kind of putting it off. And then, you know, the lack of information, that's what I'm trying to do here. You know, I'm trying to help people, give them a foundation. I think that analysis paralysis is a real thing. You know, but one thing that I mentioned kind of in that episode that I, you know, want to reiterate to you guys too, is that there's so much value in just going. You do not need to know everything to go. You can learn as you go, and you're going to fail along the way in anything. There is no success ever without failure.
Yeah.
So go, learn from your mistakes as you grow through failure. So don't be afraid of that, right?
Well, and not knowing what to do is kind of silly when you have everything at your fingertips on the
Yeah.
internet. I mean, I think that's kind of an extremely poor excuse.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it boils down to, the excuses that we state are just us telling things we're using to rationalize not making it a priority, right? Or rationalize not taking action. So I mean, it's really important, guys. Like, you're never going to get there without hard putting in the work. And this isn't something that is easy per se, but it isn't complicated. It's actually pretty simple. I mean, it is hard to show up when you don't want to. It's hard to avoid things that you want to consume, but the more you do it, the easier that it gets. And fundamentally, the basics that I'm going to teach you today are very simple. So if you're still here with us, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I want to break down, what energy expenditure is. And as we move through this, we're going to dive into how you guys can use that to your advantage and what that means. I mean, when it comes to managing your weight, we often hear about burning calories. In simple terms, calories out, it just refers to energy that you expend throughout the day. So this is going to include any energy that you burn through physical activity. That would be like daily movements, bodily functions, even like breathing and digestion and things like that. All of that falls under an acronym called TDEE, which stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. That's how we describe the total number of calories that your body burns, and it's calculated by 4 things. So you have your BMR, which is your metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate, the thermic effect of food, exercise energy expenditure, and then non-exercise energy expenditure, or it's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So we'll break those 4 down for you really quickly here. BMR is really just the amount of energy that your body needs to sustain itself. One really cool take home from this is even when your body is not engaged in any physical activity, it still needs energy to carry out essential functions. About body size and composition has a huge play in that. So what does that mean? If we build muscle, if we can put muscle on our frame, we will burn more energy just while we sleep. Even if it's a negligible amount, the amount has there's been a lot of numbers thrown around. I think people are kind of settling on less than more, but still, it does help free calories if you burn an extra, 200 calories a day because you have muscle on your frame. It's easier to stay lean at that point. BMR will typically be about 60 to 70% of our daily energy expenditure. And muscle mass, again, it does burn more calories than fat, about 3 times more pound of muscle will burn than fat tissue. Thermic effect of food, I talked about protein last week being the highest macronutrient that your body takes to break down. Talked about it's estimated about 20 to up to 30% of the energy or of the calories that you consume from protein is used in breaking down the protein. Carbs are more like 5 to 10, and fats have the lowest. Obviously, your body doesn't have to process fat to store it. It just takes it and sticks it. So that's about 0 to 3% is what it says. Exercise, this is going to include obviously anything that you burn through intentional exercise. Pretty easy to understand that. The best type of exercise that I think for burning calories is steady state cardio. Now, this is just a one-time. So, and I'll get into this when we tie this all together here in a bit, but you have to remember that cardio burns, if we're just talking about cardio from a calorie burning standpoint, it burns calories once. So if you did a 45-minute bike ride, you just got whatever that amount of calories is, that's what you got from that. I would argue that muscle gain is more sustainable. We'll talk about why here in a little bit. But, my favorite form of cardio is bike riding. Betty likes going on the elliptical. Other things are like incline treadmill walking, running, anything like that. I'll talk about cardio here in a bit too. And then the other cool thing is NEAT, which I briefly mentioned earlier, is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is going to be any non-exercise activity that you engage in throughout the day. So this would be if you're standing at work, that would count. Fidgeting, blinking, subconscious activities, things like that. Whatever you're doing, household chores, if you like to garden, if you, play sports, anything like that. Anything that's non-intentional activity would get lumped into here. And this is something that can really add up. You remember when I was doing all the walking at work?
Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
I would walk on average like 20,000 or more steps per day, just intentionally. And it was something that I was doing just because I had extra time and I didn't want to sit. But it added a lot more calories. Remember how much more I was eating back then when I was doing that, just to sustain everything. There wasn't really any other reason I was doing it aside from just wanting to move my body a little bit more. But, some easy ways is just to try to be intentional about putting movement into your day. Like if you're going to the grocery store, you can park further away so that you have to walk more. You can take the stairs instead of the elevator. We've heard of all these things, but really just try to be more intentional about saying that instead of sitting, I'm going to stand. Instead of, driving, I'm going to walk, or I'm going to ride my bike, or, find avenues in life where maybe on your lunch break, instead of sitting down, you can go walk around and pace and things like that.
A guy who walks around your store at work.
Yeah, there's an employee that works at one of the stores that are in our plaza, and he just walks laps. It looks like he does like telecommunication or something, but he always has his earbuds in and he's on calls, and he just walks while he's on calls. There's always ways if you're looking for ways, but if you're not looking for ways, you'll never find them. So just remember that if you want to find a way to add more movement into your day, you will certainly be able to find that. So those are the four main ones. So I want to break down really quick forms of cardio, since I kind of touched on that, and resistant training. So you're breaking down your exercise is going to come to both doing either cardio or lifting weights. Steady state, if you're someone who's 100 pounds overweight, you're probably going to want to focus on more steady state cardio, because it's going to be easier to just add that $300 or $400 calorie burn into your day every day, put yourself in a bigger deficit, allowing you to eat a little bit more food and not just feel like you're just trying to work off 1,000 calories, right? Versus someone who might be getting a lot more lean, or someone who wants to build a lot more muscle. They're not going to need as much. They might be okay just eating a little bit less. Whichever plan works for you, I think is the one that you're going to want to stick to. And it really just depends on your goals. I would coach each person a little bit differently, depending on what they told me, obviously their main goals were. But just understand that from a weight loss standpoint, cardio burns calories once. Gaining muscle is going to add muscle to your frame. So it's going to allow you to add more. What do you mean?
What does that mean? Like cardio only allows you to do it once. Like if I run in the morning and run at night.
So you're burning a flat amount of calories is all I'm saying when you're doing cardio. But remember what I mentioned about BMR earlier, and how the muscle burns as you build muscle. Your body has to burn more calories to sustain that. That's what I'm talking about. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it just was like I just didn't understand if you did cardio, like
cardio isn't building muscle.
Right, but I remember you saying too about lifting weights. Like at some point you stop. Like if I wanted to lift weights for 4 hours or something like that, you're like, well, eventually it doesn't.
Well, yeah, your body only has a certain amount of volume that you can recover from.
Okay.
So that's the important thing, is that we're within that sweet spot. I mean, you can't spend 4 hours in the gym. You might burn more calories, but you're not going to get any more hypertrophic benefits after a certain point, because it's all junk volume. Your body can't recover from it. You only be able to recover from a certain amount. And if you exceed that amount, you're not getting any more gains. You're just going to get more tired.
I didn't know if that was like how you were talking with the cardio, and it was totally not.
I was just from a caloric burn standpoint. Cardio definitely burns more calories than weightlifting for the period of time, for sure, because you're resting, you're moving plates, like all that stuff.
Sure.
But weightlifting and cardio together is obviously the ideal way that I want to break down for people here and kind of talk about that. So basically the ways that we can do it is we can add in more activity into our day, trying to aim for, let's say, 10 to 12,000 steps would be a really good number to go at. If you're already there, kick that up even more. You can go up to 20,000 a day if you can get that more movement in. What are you at, 7,300 today?
Just from walking.
Womp womp.
Yeah, but I didn't, it's just at home. That was just from walking around the house.
So if you combine the three, the weightlifting, the being intentional with movement, and doing, weekly cardio, you're really kind of getting three benefits there, right? We're getting the heart benefit from the cardio. We're getting the BMR increase for the muscle, again, over long term. We're looking big picture here, years. And you're just adding that additional activity into the everyday life. So what we've done now is we have a foundation of fitness in our life. And then we already have a diet, which we talked about last week, that complements our goals. So we have to make sure that both the diet and the exercise complement our goals. If you're someone who's trying to diet super, super, super lean, you're going to have a different macro profile than someone who wants to build muscle. You're probably going to be eating a lot differently. You'd be eating less calories than versus someone who wants to gain muscle. So all these things come into play, but foundationally, the basics I went over last week with the diet and the basics I'm going over today with the energy expenditure. This is the foundation. This is what we build everything from. So once you have this, then you can kind of do your own thing from here, and it becomes a lot easier. So we always talk about, I think, again, as we talked about the general person who's 72% are overweight or obese, most people probably need to lose fat and build muscle, right? Most people that I coach like that, we're going to try to get them a little muscle gain, but also we're going to prioritize cardio a little bit heavier for that person. So I would generally have them in the gym 3 days a week lifting, 3 days a week cardio, 1 day rest, maybe 4 days lifting. Maybe they can add a fourth, like a light accessory day into there with their cardio if they really want to be crazy. But I really think like a simple like push-pull leg split will do well for someone like that, getting them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the other days they can just do cardio. Again, when we're doing it this way, we want to make sure we're doing low impact work, because we don't want the cardio fatigue to bleed over into the recovery from the weightlifting. So running, probably isn't the best thing. More like incline treadmill walking, stationary bike riding, elliptical, things like that, safe, easy things. Plus, again, trying to get the movement into every day to get the additional calorie burn that way as well. Now, if you're trying to build muscle, it'd be totally different. You might only be doing cardio 1 to 2 days per week. You can do a little higher intensity just for that single or double session. And then you're going to be in the gym lifting 4 to 5 times a week. Your lifts are going to be a lot more intense, a lot more intentional than the person, again, who's just trying to, lose 100 pounds, right? So to kind of tie this all in a bow, I mean, sustainable weight loss is going to be achieved by eating and training for your goals. I mean, that's really the big take home that I want everybody to know, is that if you put the content from the first video together and you put the content from this video together, you're going to know, how to build, how to train for your goals and how to eat for your goals. And that's what's most important. And I obviously, like, the best ROI that I've had is the internet. But if you don't have time for all that, hire a coach. I mean, how much investment can you really get from spending whatever, a few $100s on hiring someone who's who specialized in this, who've already hit their head against the wall at all the problems, who can help you, who can set your macros for you, set your plan for you. Huge value. I mean, most people out there are insane at what they do for coaching. And if you need help, hit me up. I would love to help you.
But isn't it also, if you pay for something, you're more likely to find that you have like more skin in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think once that motivation starts to wane and people fall off, that's a good time to have someone in your corner cheering you on, someone to root you on, someone to pick you up when you fall and say, no, remember what you told me, remember your why. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting up every single day at, whatever time to go to the gym? Why are you denying yourself all these health or all these tasty foods to eat more healthily? There is a reason. Remember that reason when it gets hard, and it'll get a lot easier, no matter where you are, no matter what your goals are, in my opinion, everyone needs to be resistant training. Keeps us strong well into old age. Even if you're 40 years old and you've never lifted, I would 100% still put you in the gym and teach you how to lift with good form. Doesn't matter if you have injuries, there's always ways we can work around things. But you need to be putting some muscle on your frame. You need to be getting strong, because as life goes on and muscle breaks down as we get older. That's why you see people who are elderly and they're frail and they slip and fall and they break a hip. You need to build some foundational strength there. So that's number one. Everyone needs to be resistant training. Everyone, regardless of their goals, needs to be doing cardio. I mean, the heart is the most important muscle in the body. As much as you probably love the way your biceps look, a lot more than your heart. If you're not training your heart, we all know what's going to happen, right? If I could only pick one, thank goodness I don't have to pick one, but if I could only pick one, I would choose cardio, honestly, because that's going to get you the most return on investment from a health standpoint. Again, now I'm not talking about a calorie burn standpoint. I'm talking about from health standpoint, we need to be challenging our heart. So make sure that in cardio is a part of your regimen. Again, big picture, for sustainability. And again, just how much of each you do is just going to depend on your goals and priorities. But again, if progressing lifts is your goals, you want to focus on that lower impact cardio to prevent too much fatigue. And then I guess, just to kind of round this out, is eliminate the justifications and take responsibility. You're never going to get anywhere without trials. You're never going to get anywhere without tribulations. It's not always going to be easy. It certainly isn't always going to be fun. And there's going to be times of moments of weakness. You're going to have steps back, but make sure that next step is forward and you'll be fine. I mean, small daily, how about your journey? I mean, just waking up every day and just coming out here, how much has that changed your outlook on really everything in life? And it's not just about physically how you look, but it bleeds into your mental health. It bleeds into your spiritual health. It'll bleed into your relationships. Who knows who you can inspire through doing this? It bleeds into other people. You're able to touch so many people by just making a decision today to say, yes, I'm going to do this. So put in the effort, stop making excuses, and just go do something. And if you don't know where to start, reach out to somebody, or at the very least, look online. Spend time researching it. This is your life. This is your health. This is your vitality, your well-being. You deserve to have the best, but you just have to put in the work.
Your family deserves to have you be the best.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add?
I think I've mentioned this before, but I think prior to the fitness journey, I assumed that things would happen quicker than they are happening. And that's why I regret having said all those excuses of, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. Or,
that's a good point. You say that all the time.
It's October, I'll start at the beginning of the year. And then a whole stinking year goes by and I've done nothing. I just dug myself deeper in a hole because I just ate more, or I was even more lazy. And I think the biggest takeaway from a lot of this has been, just that excuse is number one for me. And don't wait, don't procrastinate. If you just move, I think there's a calendar, and it's kind of silly, but there's a calendar in the house that has a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, and it says, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step.
It's true.
And I'll say that again. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. And then we walk, then we go, then we reveal that staircase. And, I think that's really, really important advice, and kind of like a nice little quote to, tie things in together, and just go, just do it. Just take the first step.
For sure. I mean, what's the saying? The best time that you could start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Get going. The years pile on fast. I spent so many years, just drinking my sorrows away and thinking that I had it all together. And, now I'm like a completely different person. I don't even recognize that old persona of mine. So
Yeah, that picture.
get started, get working on you. You deserve greatness, but you have to go get it. You have to go take it, and you won't realize how much you can do for you and everybody in your life just by making that decision to go. So we love you guys so much. As always, if you found the video helpful, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that sub button. And we will be back next time, 2 weeks until the next episode. So we will see you then. Yeah, wishing you guys a fantastic week, powerful week. And I hope you guys have a great one. We'll see you next time. Love you all. Peace.